What's up, everybody? We're back with another edition of Everyday Hoops. Hope you guys are having a good one. Today, we're going to be talking about, we got some game sevens. We got some game sevens that are going to be happening for the second round between the Timberwolves, Nuggets, Knicks, Pacers. We could potentially have three. Tonight, the Thunder and Mavericks play, but we're going to talk about the two that potentially could happen here in today's video. Thank you guys for the views on the videos and the shorts recently. I really appreciate it. If you like the content around here, consider subscribing, like, turn notifications, do all stuff like that. I'd really appreciate it. Really helps out a lot. Join the membership. If you want to learn more about the membership, there's a video on my channel explaining all of it. You can go back and watch that. Link to my Twitter, TikTok, stuff like that, description down below. And yeah, don't waste any more of your time. Let's get right into it. So we will have at least two game sevens going on in the second round. Potentially could have three with Thunder Mavericks, but that game is tonight, and I'm gonna record this video before that because I don't want to bank on having a game seven. Then tomorrow's video is gonna be I'm gonna talk about the two for right now because there were some dominant game six wins with some teams that had their lives on the line. They came out and dominated. We're gonna start with Timberwolves Nuggets. That happened on Thursday night. Man, after Nuggets won after Minnesota dominated the first two games in Denver, Denver comes back, dominates Minnesota on their home court, and then they had a big game five victory. And then we go into game six. People are like, well, how much do the Nuggets really have? I mean, how much do the Timberwolves really have left on the line? You know, how much do they have? How much fight do they have left in them? People are saying this is over. And Minnesota comes out and doesn't just win, they absolutely smack and destroy the Denver Nuggets. They win 115-70. A 45-point victory in a game six is insane. Like just insane stuff for the Timberwolves. You know, the Nuggets came out, they got off to like a 9-2 start, I want to say, and then Minnesota just flipped the switch, won a huge run. They outscored Denver 31-14 at the end of the first quarter. Took it into the second quarter as well, where they dominated that quarter too. And then we get to the third quarter, and things were just running. They just started running away with the game. The 3-point shot was falling. The defense was back locked in, like looked like in the first two games, and they just had the energy and the momentum. It felt like they found themselves in this game. They found their fight that they had in the first couple games that they kind of lost throughout the series. They found that fight again, and they just dominated the Denver Nuggets, holding the Nuggets to 70 points. Holding a team like this to 70 points in a game is insane. Like that is just insane stuff. Anthony Edwards, dominant, 27, 4-4. He was a plus 43 in this game. He was 4 for 9 from three, 8 for 17 from the field. Ridiculous stuff from him. Jaden McDaniels. Having Jaden McDaniels have a big game like this is huge as well. Because the first couple games of the series, offensively, he has not been good. And then coming in the last game, 21 points, 8 for 10, 3 for 5 from three. He was amazing in this game. Cat 10, 13, and 5. Rudy Gobert had 14 rebounds in this game. He was a plus 30. He was amazing on the defensive end. Mike Conley coming back, having 13 points, hitting 3 threes. And then the bench, Naz Reid had 10 and 11 off the bench. Nikhil hit 3 3-pointers. Monte Morris hit a 3-pointer. It just felt like they were locked in. You know, they shot 37% from three. They only missed 4 free throws. The rebounds, they had 62 rebounds to Denver's 43, including 11 offensive boards. Just amazing. 26 assists and Nuggets 18 assists. You know, they forced 12 Denver turnovers when they only had 6. Just did everything right. They look like the Minnesota Timberwolves from the first two games. Seeing them come out and fight like this and putting the Nuggets and making the Nuggets look like this, like we haven't really seen that. So Minnesota coming out and doing that is huge for Denver. Just early on, it looked like, you know, they just were losing momentum, losing fight, losing all energy as the game was going on. And eventually Minnesota just smacked them so hard that Denver was just kind of, you know what? We're gonna go back home in game seven. Just fold it early. Tough that which is really, you know, it was a very surprising performance from this Nuggets team. Being a championship type team, knowing that, you know, going back on the road for game six, a game team where you beat them twice on their home court, you know, like being able to take care of business right now, move on to the second round. It's really surprising the Nuggets came out like this. So losing by 45 points in a game six where you could move on to the next round and giving Minnesota a chance to come back on your home court where they won 2 games on your home court and giving this young team with Anthony Edwards, who's confident as heck, and all this team confidence to come into game seven and win. Especially off a huge momentum, I mean, you beat a team by 40, you come in the next game like, you know, with all the energy in the world. So it's just very surprising the Nuggets came out like that in game six. And now we have a game seven of this great series. And even though it hasn't been great in terms of, close games, we probably only got like maybe one or two actually like close games in the series. Just the moments we've gotten, the shifts in game plan, the adjustments we've gotten in this series has been great. And we get a game seven of this hard fought series. And I'm very intrigued. I am very intrigued. Obviously, it's the game seven, but it's like usually I don't really know who I'm gonna go with, to be honest. Like Denver at home, Denver out of every team, I feel like in a situation like this, Denver is the team I trust the most out of any team like this. But Minnesota just has confidence, really. They just have confidence, and they're gonna come out in Game Seven. They're gonna put everything on the line, and when they do that, they're a tough team to beat. Minnesota is, especially I believe Anthony Edwards is gonna come out and have an amazing Game Seven. I feel like that's just written in the cards that that's gonna happen. But Jokic as well. Jokic, Jamal Murray know this as well, and the Nuggets know this as well. That it's a Game Seven. We're trying to repeat. We gotta go through this team. So I think this is gonna be an amazing Game Seven. I still don't really know who I'm gonna pick because usually I would pick Denver, but because the way Minnesota won that game in Game Six just put a lot, just hit for me. I guess it just made me open my eyes a lot wider. Just like, whoa, like that is insane. So we'll see what happens in Game Seven. I think Game Seven, Denver has to actually want to play basketball at first, but I think they're gonna have to have a similar Game Five performance where Jokic is gonna have to have a big game. Jamal Murray needs to have a good game as well, though. Jamal Murray needs to come out maybe more of a Game Three type of performance where everybody gets involved. Because when they do that, when they get Aaron Gordon, who I think has been the X factor to the Nuggets coming back and winning those 3 games in a row, coming in the series, Jamal Murray hitting shots. Not saying he has to have 35, but just needing to hit some big shots, especially in the fourth quarter. Jokic being Jokic, doing Jokic things and going at Rudy Gobert like he did in Game 5. That'd be nice for Minnesota. Anthony Edwards needs to have a big game, and they just need to be locked in. I feel like the last 3 games, they kind of were losing confidence in the defensive end. After that win, I'm convinced that they're going to have confidence on the defensive end. When they have confidence on the defensive end, they're going to lock up and they're going to be aggressive. So if they keep that aggressiveness and that intensity throughout that game seven, they have a really good chance. But I'm dying to see that game. And then we had last night another game six between the Knicks and the Pacers. The Pacers come out and beat the Knicks 116-103. The score looks a little bit closer than what it actually was, but Indiana come out of their home court and beat the Knicks, and they force a game seven back in Madison Square Garden. The Pacers, it was a good first quarter, back and forth first quarter, and the second quarter. The second quarter really was what happened. The end of the second quarter. Indiana outscored New York 32-21 in the second quarter. Had a great last, I want to say, 4-ish minutes to the quarter. And the third quarter, they just came out and dominate the Knicks. Now, even though the Knicks, looking at it, didn't look like they had a bad offensive game, it's just the Pacers were better. The Pacers got their bench. Game 5, they got embarrassed in New York, and a lot of that was their bench didn't really provide much. Today, T.J. McConnell and Obi Toppin were on it. Getting Pascal Siakam going and getting him in the mid range and getting him some buckets, I think makes his team a whole lot better. Especially in a series like this with the Knicks, where they kind of like to grind out and be in the half court. Pascal Siakam getting going is huge. Tyrese being aggressive, Andrew Nembhard hitting shots, Miles Turner had a great game as well. Indiana just came out and dominated this game. Pascal 25, 7 and 5 on 11 for 21 shooting, what you want to see. Miles Turner 17 and 8 on 6 for 10 shooting. Tyrese 15, 6 and 9, 15, 6 and 6 for Andrew Nembhard. Everything was going well. TJ McConnell 15 points in 16 minutes. Obi Toppin 11 points off the bench with some highlight reel dunks. Like it just felt like everything was going for the Indiana Pacers. They're getting out in transition. They were running. They were forcing turnovers. They were rebounding the ball. They won the rebounding battle, 47-35. Had 14 offensive rebounds to the Knicks 13. So that's a huge thing. Not letting the Knicks get second chance opportunities of getting offensive rebounds. 35 assists. The Knicks 20 assists. Funny is the Knicks actually outshot them from 3. The Knicks were 13 for 34. Pacers were only 9 for 26. Both teams though shot 69% from the free throw line. Indiana shot 53% from the field. New York shot 44%. That was a big difference as well. Indiana was dominating the paint in this game. I don't know exactly how many paint points they had, but it was a huge disparity. Indiana was just getting to the paint, getting to the rim at will, and knocking it down. So that was the big deciding factor in this game was Indiana getting to the rim putting pressure on the rim and getting to the paint. Isaiah Hartenstein didn't have an amazing game, only 4 points, 6 or 7 rebounds, 6 assists, didn't have a block. Was 1 for 3. Josh Hart as well, 5 points, 2 for 8 from the field. Did have some abdominal and stomach issues that he kept coming out of the game. He only played in 30 minutes, which is like a 10-minute game for Josh Hart, basically 30 minutes. But yeah, Jalen Brunson, even though he did finish with 31 points, 11 for 26 shooting, definitely struggled a lot with Aaron Nesmith on him. Aaron Nesmith has been doing as better a job as you can against Brunson. He missed, I think he won a stretch where he missed like 10 or 11 shots in a row. I want to say Jalen Brunson did, where after he made his first couple shots, Aaron Nesmith is just hounding him defensively, and then DiVincenzo 3 for 8. Miles McBride had a pretty good game, but then yeah, Isaiah Hartenstein and Josh Hart, the guys who you count on to make the little do the little things and make the offensive rebounds and get the hustle plays, just didn't have good games. And then off the bench, you have Precious Achiuwa, Alec Burks trying something, but at the end of the day, it just didn't really matter because Obi Toppin and T.J. McConnell were running the show off the bench from the Indiana Pacers. So yeah, Game 7 back in Madison Square Garden. That's going to be a heck of an environment to be in. That environment, that crowd is going to be as loud as it's been probably in a very, 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 very long time. So yeah, I'm very excited about game. The Game 7 in Madison Square Garden is just beautiful to see. But I think the Knicks are going to come out obviously with some fight. Last time when they got blown out in Game 4 in this fashion, well, not as bad as it was in Game 4, but in a blowout type fashion, they came out and dominated the next game in Game 5. And I'm expecting the same kind of dominance for New York in Game 7. I'm expecting them to come out and at least have the same amount of fight, the same amount of energy, knowing this is a Game 7. I'm expecting Josh Hart to be good. I'm expecting Isaiah Hartenstein to be a lot better. I'm expecting the shots to fall. I'm expecting the defense to be a whole lot better and more locked in. And for Indiana, I don't know what to expect for Indiana, really. They haven't been in a position like this before in a Game 7 in this type of environment. But I'm not saying the Knicks are going to blow them out, obviously. That's not going to happen. At least I hope it doesn't happen, at least. But I expect the Pacers to have some confidence in some fighting them. I think they remember that happened in Game 5 where they got embarrassed in a huge Game 5 deciding game. They got embarrassed in New York. And even sound the broadcast after, like Rick Carlisle kept talking to his team like he was disappointed in his team, disappointed in the fight, disappointed in all that they had. And so they came out of Game 6 and had this big response to not only everybody, not only to the Knicks, to the fans, but to their coach as well. And I assume in Game 7 that they're gonna have that same mentality, that same fight, because they remember what happened in Game 5. So I'm expecting a good game. I'm expecting a very tight game. It's funny because the first 3 games of the series was just nail biters, and the last 3 games have kind of been, blowouts. So I hope that we get a Game 7, a close Game 7, kind of similar to what we did in the first 3 games. And I'm just ready for it, man. I'm ready for these Game 7s. Gonna be amazing. If we could get another one with Thunder Mavericks tonight, Game 6, the Mavericks could close out OKC at home, or OKC could force a Game 7. We get 3 Game 7s. That would be amazing. But we'll see what happens. But I am very, very, very excited for this. But yeah, that's gonna be it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Once again, if you like the content around here, consider subscribing, like, turn notifications, all stuff like that. I'd really appreciate it. Really upset a lot. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow.